Hey, Crown Corner family. Welcome back to your favorite spot for the most intriguing and jaw-dropping stories around. Today, we've got a lineup of tales that are sure to have you on the edge of your seats. From unbelievable to petty revenges, these stories showcase the wild and unpredictable nature of life. So grab your snacks, settle in, and let's dive right into these incredible narratives. I have two older cousins or sisters. They had both gone down the path of using drugs. Both have stolen from us before. My mother is someone who has been around addicts before. She tries her hardest to help them get off their addictions. She has done this 3 times now. My father used to be an alcoholic but has been sober for almost 27 years. For the sake of the story, I'll go through quickly about all the things these sisters had done. Before the main story I'm talking about, Serena is oldest sister. Caroline is youngest sister. The main problem in the story, Alex and Sam are youngest sister's 2 kids. Now, Serena and Caroline are sisters and both for a couple of years were pill poppers. But Serena, we didn't know at the time, around 2005 was trying to quit and even started going to Addicts Anonymous, basically for drug addicts. Serena had lost custody of her own kids from drugs and theft she did. Her 2 youngest were adopted by a nice Mennonite church family. Her oldest lived with her and Caroline's parents until he was old enough to move out. The Mennonites make another appearance later on. Serena was recovering at the time after losing her kids. She wanted to get clean, but more importantly, she wanted to apologize and make it up to my mother, someone she respects. Serena would come over often and talk to my mother. This was around Christmas time. We have a huge dinner every Christmas and invite relatives over. Serena and Caroline came over. Serena brought a dish to share. We all hung out in the living room with people going to the bathroom occasionally. Now, our bathroom is right between my room and my parents' room. At the time, my mom was dealing with a bad reoccurring foot injury. She took heavy medications to help with the pain. When it came time for another dose, my mom went to get her medication, only it was gone. She screamed at everyone, demanding to know who had them. Caroline said her sister went into my parents' room. Serena tried to defend herself, but my mom wasn't having it. She threw Serena out and they didn't really talk for a couple of years. Caroline had actually been the thief, but wanted to be in my parents' good graces, so she threw Serena under the bus. After this, Caroline went on to a worse situation. She was still doing drugs, but now I found a fellow druggie who came from money to pay for them. Caroline had a kid with him, and then while she carried her second baby, he tried to shoot them. He was arrested and put in jail for attempted murder. She came to us and started talking to my parents about adopting the baby she was carrying. My parents have thought about doing this since. 1, I had just turned 20 and she felt empty without me. And 2, she was still doing drugs while pregnant. What we didn't know is that it was all a ruse. She got all cozy with us. Then one weekend we left for a family vacation. Caroline broke into our house and stole from us. She stole my father's coin collection, my games and antidepressants, my brother's brand new threads and all his games, all of my mom's medication, and some of her jewelry. We were livid. We cut ties with her for a while. That is, until the summer of 2017. Her grandparents came to us with Caroline's kids. She had been arrested for drug charges and was thrown in jail for 6 months. Her parents were currently trying to move out of state to avoid legal trouble, so they dropped the kids off on us. Alex was maybe 6 years old. Despite everything that had happened, he was the most well-behaved kid I have met. Sam was 2 years old and he was a hellion. He beat on his older brother all the time. He would hit him so hard, he left welts on Alex. We had to spank this kid nearly every second. He tried to smack his brother. We believe in spanking in my family. We had these kids for almost 2 months. While Caroline was on parole and, as she lied again, trying to get her life together, she wasn't. She had her parents take the kids to us so she could go out and get drugs again. And so they didn't have to raise them. My mother had enough of Caroline and her bees. At this point, Sam had done something so horrible we couldn't deal. He kept trying to punch his brother between the legs and wouldn't stop. It drove me crazy and poor Sam was in constant pain, fear of his little brother. It's one of the saddest things you can see when a 6-year-old is terrified of a toddler. I was a wreck at the time, since I had to put college on hold to help take care of them. I wasn't dealing with my own mental health, so I started binge drinking to deal with the stress. I hid this from my parents, just trying to help us get by. Everyone was stressed out and getting tired of Caroline and her lies. She had promised to send us ways to help us. She never did, nor send us things that could help. One day, my mom snapped. She packed everything the kids had, clothes, toys, food, everything. She drove the kids down to where Caroline was and dropped them off. Caroline begged my mom to take in her kids. She was tweaking when my mom saw her, obviously high. My mother glared at her and started telling her off. And what a horrible piece of trash she was. leaving her in an apartment with her kids. Right after that, she then notified her parole officer that she was doing drugs and had abandoned these kids on us, without giving any way for us to get legal aid or a way to care for them, which was all true. Since she wouldn't give us their birth certificates, we couldn't file for federal aid. Nor could we get a copy, since she had them as well, as with their other personal information, like social security numbers and such. Her parole officer wasn't happy to hear all this. Now, this story does have a happy ending. Alex and Sam were adopted by the same Mennonite family that took Serena kids in years before. They're doing a lot better now and completely understood how we lost our cool. We help them with the boys and bring birthday and Christmas gifts for all of them. They've turned a lot for the better. We had these kids for almost 2 months. We're a low-income family getting by paycheck to paycheck. We couldn't properly take in these kids, and Caroline knew this. Serena, who had been clean for 7 years at the time these events happened, tried her hardest to help us, providing us with anything she could get off her sister. She even mentioned it to the family who later adopted the kids. If they could take them in before we reached our end. Caroline was thrown back into jail recently for not going to her parole meeting, and also for trying to sell drugs. From what I was told, she's in jail for 3 years now. Serena is back to normal and has a much better life than she ever did before. We still talk whenever we run into her. We hope Caroline does the same, but we really doubt it. Hope you enjoy. Edits 1. My parents and Serena have since reconciled. They know she never took the medication. We get along all fine now. Edits 2. While yes, we believe in spanking, we did not once abuse these boys in any way. The reason is I wasn't as gentle. It's because Sam always went after his brother's groin, or tried to bite him. He bit so hard he would draw blood on occasion. Alex never fought back or defended himself, so I had to stop it. But I only ever spanked on the butt, not any other place but the butt and timeouts. Sam's behavior lessened greatly by the time we let the new family take them in, so he wasn't as horrible. Edits 3. We never got any of our items returned. Aside from myself and my mom tracking down some of my brother's games at a pawn shop, we didn't call the cops on the matter. Since she'd actually used a key she took to break in, that wouldn't have been seen as a case of theft at all where we live. To start the story, some background you need to know about me. I volunteered to train and raise service dogs. My fiancé says clearly I have a look that says I am weak and a pushover. I have constant encounters with Karens who are just not ready for my responses when they engage me. I have been in the military for 17 years when this happened, and I was responsible for managing over 130 service members. I am anything but pushover. I work with civilians, so I've cultivated a polite exterior because I was counseled for looking unapproachable and scary to civilian counterparts. The story, as I said, I raise service animals, so I fall under the ADA when it comes to regulations on where and what I can do with my puppy. Well, call him Oreo. Oreo is an amazingly behaved black lab of 6 months. I have cultivated a level of trust and obedience where I can leave him in a site with other dogs around so long as I am in eyesight, he will stay. I have raised a few pups by then, and I would never have done that with them, but Oreo is amazing, and I can't wait to get him back after his tour of duty helping Mrs. C be independent. I met the homeowner association Karen one Saturday. My fiancé, I and Oreo were going to head on a road trip to visit my fiancé's parents. In our preparation, the last on the list is always getting the kids to use the bathroom before a long trip. So we head out, Oreo gets busy, and I grab a bag to clean it up. I put him in a sit-stay and hand the leash to my girl, and I start walking to the trash can. It's about 100 feet from where he went. I have clear line of sight to the dog, and he is sitting pretty and alert and watching me intently for a hand cue or voice command. As I'm walking, I hear a womanly screech. I don't quite make it out, but it sounds angry. I ignore it and keep walking to the dumpster, deposit my waste bag, and turn around to head back to my 2 favorite people. It is then I make eye contact with the homeowner association, Karen from here on out. She is your typical Karen, not an inch over 5 foot and has the same circumference. The short cropped hair that says I'm the manager now. She looks me in the eyes and I finally listen to her shrill scream of your dog must be on a leash and in your hand. My county state law says so I will call the cops. Now I don't do ignorant and respect given is respect earned. I was willing to try and de-escalate. My fiancé owns the condo and is super non-confrontational. So for her, I try to bring it back down to civil levels of discussion. In a polite but firm voice, I asked if she even looked over at the dog before she started yelling at me. She just bellows like a banshee again, I repeat. This back and forth happens 3 or 4 times, me calm or escalating in pitch and volume. At this point, she hasn't given respect, so none's required to be given back. I break out my, "You done? You screwed up" Ankitude Jr. voice. It is loud, firm, and clearly states I'm done with your nonsense, lady. I clearly tell her if she would have taken 2 seconds to look, she would see the dog is sitting on a leash in someone's hand. She stops bellowing at me, looks, and turns a bit red in the face. Then musters you could just say thank you. I curtly replied, shut up and get out of my face. She waddled quickly off-tailed, tucked into a condo door. My next meeting with her was when I was grilling. The homeowner association states no charcoal grills and no smoking barbecue. I was born in the North, but as a military brat moved to the South when I was 2. There's a difference between barbecuing and grilling. Barbecue is 12 plus hours with coals of hardwood or wood smoking. Grilling is cooking meat on a grill instead of the stove. The homeowner association put out a reminder, no barbecuing on the premises and no coals. So I was like, awesome, got a small propane grill. It's not barbecue, but it's better than nothing. So I was out grilling, and I hear the banshee cry, all too familiar now. Again, she didn't come up to me and talk. She just started screaming. So I looked her right in the eye, and with the same firm voice, shut up and go away. If you say one more word, I'll be the one calling the cops for harassment by a homeowner association member. She sputtered something about no grilling or open flames, and I told her to get lost, show me in writing and by someone other than her. She waddled off, and then I was approached by the homeowner association president with the homeowner association bylaws and sat to read them, during which my fiancée started a conversation with them about another issue we were having with them. She was in the middle of having the state attorney's office ask some questions about activities they were trying to force her into paying for. It wasn't going well for the homeowner association, and she took this opportunity to introduce herself. While she may be non-confrontational when it comes to small things, she'll stand up for herself when it comes to it. Her introducing herself changed everyone's tone, and they became oh so polite. Karen tried to play the victim to her and say I was mean and could use some manners when engaging with people. I love my soon-to-be wife. She let her paint her tale of how she was a victim. When she finished, she looked her dead in the eyes and said, you know I was the one holding the leash, and I was standing right here when he was grilling. So now you got the same respect you gave. She paled and faded to the back. That's when the president of the homeowner association stepped in and told me I can't have the grill and that I could be fined, and I needed to follow the rules of the homeowner association, or the next time he'll be the one calling the cops. Well, Pres Roger that. It is my job to enforce regulations in the military. I spend hours reading instructions. Nothing pleases me more than when I can shove the black and white in a jerk's face at work to get my guys what they are owed, or to force them to do the job right. So you want me to follow the rules and copy that, buddy? So I began my research. I found a few interesting things. No homeowner association by law can be enforced if it is not the state database. This particular homeowner association bylaws were last updated in 1994. It was 2016. They state they follow my county's fire code, which follows National Fire Protection Association. Finally, the GIM is the exact late and long coordinates of the homeowner association's property lines. So I get a login for the state's database and print the homeowner association bylaws. I print the National Fire Protection Association, which states in a multifamily home you can store propane tanks no bigger than 2, 7 liters, but they can total no more than 5, 4 liters cumulatively. I go to Lois, get a rope tape measure and stakes. I pull up Google Maps and mark the homeowner association boundary line on it. Lo and behold, what do I find in a drainage ditch that is city property not 10 feet from where I was grilling? So I coordinate my stakes and carefully mark off the section of city property. Now for the revenge, I call the city-county fire departments and request a permit to grill on said city property. They said go for it. I didn't need a permit for it, no one would care. I insisted and they said it's my $50. They issued an event open flame. So with both permits, it was $100, but I got permission from the city to grill there for 6 months. The next day at 700, I went to set up. I carefully measured so I was at least 3 feet into the city property, setting up my cooler with enough meat and beer to grill till doomsday, then waited for the fireworks. It didn't take long for Karen to come screaming at me. I mean, I was 10 feet from the community pool and 3 feet from the sidewalk gazebo that led to the pool. I just hit record on my phone and politely told her she has no need to yell and I'm breaking no laws. She kept screaming about no grilling and how she is tired of me and she's going to get me arrested and kicked out if it's the last thing she does. She hasn't liked me since she saw me and has just been waiting to get me kicked out. That now that she knows which condo is mine, it is just a matter of time till she finds something. On and on, I guess me polite and showing zero fear was pissing her off. She tried to come take my stuff. Big no? No. As she reached for my cooler, I broke out my Anko voice and told her if she so much as brush a finger against my property, I would remove the offending body part with force if necessary. This sent her scurrying off again. About 20 minutes later, I see 2 cop cars pull up, and Mr. Homeowner Association presses himself. He's all chummy with the cops, and as they approach, I hear him say, "Yep, same guy I already told him once before he can't grill on the Homeowner Association grounds." He comes to a stop about 10 feet from me. One cop stays with him, the other keeps walking up to me. I have a big grin on my face. I can hardly wait for the conversation to happen. The cop is slightly off-put by my joyous face and slight giggle when I ask what seems to be the problem office. I get informed that I'm in violation of the bylaws and have been warned once already, and I'm going to receive a ticket for disturbing the peace, for threatening the homeowner association when they were trying to enforce the rules, ticket for an illegal open flame, ticket for illegal storage of flammable substances, on and on. The last was if I didn't pack up, I would be arrested and removed. Now that he was done, I first handed him my permit from the city to grill. He took it, walked back to the press, and they discussed it for a moment, then returned saying you can't get a permit from the city to grill on private property. I then showed him the coordinates for the homeowner association and the Google Maps gridded drawing and my current location. Mind you, I am smiling, handing sheet after sheet to him because the grid was not all on one sheet and had addendum. It took about 4 minutes to explain it to him. As I was about to hand him more, he held up a hand to stop me. He then asks how long I had planned this with a smirk. I told him, about a week. He gave me a look of disbelief but moved on. He then asked me if I threatened Karen. I just played back the recording to him. At that end, he said, nothing seems out of place here, you are free to go. I stopped him and asked if I could file a complaint for homeowner association harassment through him. He said no, that the city clerk office is the correct place, but he would document harassment by the two of them and file the report for me. In my state, it's illegal to be harassed by the homeowner association. It comes with a jail of a few months, fines as high as $5,000, and immediate removal from the board, and the possibility of recovery of damages. I settled for them both being removed from the board instead of filing a complaint. I waved to Karen every day I grill, or showed her my leash if I had Oreo. Quick pause, folks. If you're loving these stories, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to K-Korner, and drop a comment below. Your support means the world to us and helps keep this channel thriving. Plus, it's a great way to join our community and share your thoughts on these wild tales. All right, let's jump back into the action. A guy I got into a row with on a Facebook group lied about his credentials online when he felt threatened by me and started spewing nonsense about how I'm probably not a graduate of the school that's written both on my Facebook and my professional page. Prior to this, he was very rude, crass, and disrespectful to people that call him out on his nonsense. Instead of defending himself properly, he'll result in childish insults and personally attacking you when he has nothing else to back up his claims. He claims to be a religious educator, yet his actions show anything but religious. Anyway, he made the mistake of giving out his ID number and degree at School A, where a close friend of mine graduated, and his program that he was currently taking in School B, where I graduated, and is close with the program secretary when we were having a row. A quick Google search also connected me to his LinkedIn, where he has indeed listed both schools down, but it is very inconsistent with the entry graduation dates he gave me. I let it slide for a day after the argument simmered down, but this morning, I noticed he took a very obvious jab at me at the same Facebook group we bickered at. It was written in our language, but it roughly translated to there's this one person here, in the comment section, that allegedly graduated from a prestigious university, but her personality is trash. As a naturally petty person, I obviously did not let it slide. First course of action. I messaged the department in School B he was supposedly taking his master's degree in, reporting him by giving them what happened, the screenshots of just how rude, crass, and disrespectful he is. I also gave them his full name, which I sleuthed on my own, the year he supposedly entered the school, and the program he was taking. The answer from the program secretary, I'm Mr./Miss, good afternoon. Mr. V is not ex-student. Thank you for raising this concern. We'll look into this matter. Satisfaction check. Second course of action. I messaged the department he supposedly finished his bachelor's from in School A. I gave them his full name, alleged ID number, the bachelor's degree he allegedly finished from this school, the years he was allegedly active from this school, as well as the same screenshots. The answer from the dean himself, I don't know him, and he had never been my student. Satisfaction check. I'm biding for the right time to show these messages from the two departments for when he acts up again so he could finally shut up. But damn, the satisfaction was real. Furthermore, when I changed my picture to a picture of me in my toga, which is very distinct because my university toga has a logo on the left breast part, he also changed his picture to him posing at a public place in my university, where literally everyone could go without a problem since it was a Catholic church, and you can go there anytime as long as it's daylight to pray or reflect. Sorry, this got so long, lol, I really needed a space to share my petty revenge. Update. Lol, the dude was apparently stalking my Facebook account and stumbled across on my day post. I posted about how I contacted the departments and they said they all didn't know him And he's now blowing up my messages with hate messages telling me they probably aren't said departments. Anyway, lots of people who know him also saw my post and asked who it's about. Told him it's him, and apparently he's mad that I exposed him online lol. Update 2. Found out that the dude completely plagiarized a paper, and the paper was originally written by a friend of mine. Welp looks like he just dug his own grave. I'll wait this one out and see where this goes. So, my ex-wife and I used to have a great relationship, but she has become petty and somewhat vindictive these last couple months. Our relationship started going downhill after her daughter, my ex-stepdaughter, broke into my house and stole from me and my new wife while we were on vacation together. Yes, I invited my ex-wife and her boyfriend to come on vacation with us too, so it would be a family thing. My current wife was completely fine with it. Not only did we invite them, we paid for everything, plane tickets, rental house, meals, activities, etc. We've done this before, and it was nice. While we were on this vacation, my ex-wife's daughter broke into our house and stole from us. We had to file a police report because some of the things stolen was medication, and we couldn't get new prescriptions without filing a police report. This upset my ex-wife, even though we told her before we called the police, and she said, do what you need to do. Before this, my ex and I would pretty much just buy what the kids needed while we had them. Every once in a while, she'd ask me to split the cost of some things, and I have never asked her to split the cost of anything prior to this. But lately, she has been asking to split the cost of just about everything. Fine, whatever. I usually get most of the things for the kids anyway. About a month ago, my son needed some new equipment for indoor lax. She asked if I would split. I said fine. When she took him out shopping, they couldn't find everything. So I bought most of it online. I asked her what she bought and how much, and I told her what I bought and how much. It turned out she owed me for the split. It was only $40. I would have let it go, but she hounded me for a week over $5. This pissed her off. She'd be fine when I have to pay her, but gets pissed when she has to pay me. I only asked her for the portion of the split because she asked me to split the cost in the first place. We argued back and forth, and then she came up with a list of things we should not have to split and anything else we would split. So I started keeping track of things that I paid for that were to be split between us. So she gave me her list and what I owe her. Not a lot. I owe her $80. But when I gave her my list and her share, she now owes me $425. The background: this is a story from years ago when I provide on-site tech work in a niche market all over America. The work is good and pays well, but the traveling can be rough, as I put in some 100,000 miles, 160,000 kilometers, a year by car. As I travel mostly by car during the summer, we pay reliable types to feed the cats and water the lawns and take the whole family on the road. My kids get to see much of America and parts of Canada and Mexico, and have fantastic vacations while I get to travel and still have the company of my family after work. The trips normally last 3 to 4 months. These are great times. Unfortunately, during the winter, the kids have school and I get to be away on my own anywhere from 2 weeks to 4 months on a stretch. Some summers this happens too due to family having other needs back in town. But then they sometimes travel with me for Christmas break too. At least my wife never has to hold down a job while I'm working this job. This story happens during one of those times that I am out of town and my beautiful wife is managing things at home. The setup: when we first move into this house, there is a great family that lives across the street from us. They are very respectful and just really great neighbors. They're upper middle class Latinos. They own a bar. They have fixed up their house in some very nice ways, including a wrought iron fence around the yard. Much better than the chain link fence around ours. They have several nice cars. More than they can fit in their driveway. There are always 2 cars parked on the street in front of their house, but they also have a problem. For whatever reason, someone in the local constabulary just cannot accept that a Latino business owner of a bar can make this kind of money without also dealing drugs. Every month, the police swoop in with warrants and drug-sniffing dogs and spend hours going through their house and cars with fine-toothed combs. Every month, they leave empty-handed and no arrests, no tickets, no infractions, nothing. Nothing. Every month, the neighbors come over to apologize for any disturbance this inspection causes us. They are mortified every time it happens. Every month, we tell them not to worry about it. We always reassure them that this says more about the police than it does about them. Believe me, if they had been doing anything at all, they would already have been caught. They appreciate our support. And as my wife and children are also Latino, we are glad to give it. Finally, they've had enough of it. They sell the bar and the house and move to a smaller town in another state with a larger Latino population and open a new bar there. I wish them well. There follows a string of much lower-class Latinos in their old house. None of them live there for very long. I suspect there may be a landlord behind some of this. Some of them are genuinely nice people. We give 2 broken-down vehicles to one fellow who is renting a room in the basement. I decide I'm never going to get the time to swap parts between them to come up with a functioning vehicle, which had been the original plan. He is able to rebuild a single working vehicle and now can travel out of town for work. My only price is that he tows off what he doesn't use, and this he does. Good guy, good guy. The macho rooster. Then comes the day the macho rooster moves in, and he lives there for a long time. He is the owner of the house. This makes him a somebody. And somebodies are an entitled thing to be. He struts about in nice clothes and bling. This is his domain. He has declared himself emperor of the street, and any who challenge it will rue the day. Almost immediately, we start having trouble with him and his family parking in our driveway or in front of the mailbox. If the mailbox is blocked, the post won't be delivered. My beautiful wife will take the kids to school or pick them up and come home to find she has to park on the street. This rubs her all kinds of wrong. But leaving nastigrams on the windshield is not improving things at all. If they get a shot at our driveway, they take it. Weekends are even more fun. Not only is the entire street filled with cars related to his house, but the party and the music is playing so loud all of our windows shake, including the ones in the back of the house. If that is not bad enough, it keeps up until 3, 4, or even 5 in the morning. He has bullied many of the neighbors with his macho posturing. They won't call the police with a noise complaint out of fear. We call. They turn it up even louder after the police leave. Yeah, he's a real class act, this one. The event? So this day, my beautiful wife returns from picking up the kids from school in their cars in our driveway. What's different this time is the young lady sitting in the car waiting for something or someone. Beautiful wife parks on the street, gets the kids in the house, and then comes out to have a chat with the young lady. It goes something like this, translated from Spanish and as related to me by my wife. Beautiful wife, excuse me. I'm going to need you to move your car out of my property. You have no permission to park here. Young lady, excuse me? My uncle said I could park here, so you can just get lost. Beautiful wife, your uncle doesn't own this driveway. He can't give you permission to park in my driveway. That's not how it works. Young lady, he said I can park here. I can park here. She then gets out, locks the car, and walks across the street. Beautiful wife calls after her. I can have you towed, Young lady, you wouldn't dare. Little does she know, beautiful wife. Not only does she dare, she has almost done it several times already, but wanted to give them a chance to be warned. Well, now they've been warned. But before she calls a tow truck, beautiful wife has a feeling this may escalate. She calls the non-emergency police line and lets them know the issue she is having with our neighbors. When they get the address, they actually say, then she's looking for a number for a towing company. Remember the good old days when we used yellow pages for things like this? When there came a knock at the door. It's Macho Rooster, and he is huffing and puffing. Beautiful wife is fearless. She opens the door and confronts him. Macho Rooster, how dare you tell my niece she can't park here? I told her she could. Beautiful wife, what makes you think that matters? You can't give permission to anyone to park on my property? Macho Rooster puffs up his chest more. Look, little lady, you obviously don't know who you are talking to. I can say it, and if I say it, it happens. Beautiful wife laughs. He is actually shorter than her. Look, little man, that macho nonsense doesn't fly here. Maybe where you are from, you're a big deal and that stuff works. But where I come from, the men are afraid of the women, not the other way around. We know what rolling pins are good for, and we're not afraid to use them. I've got a nice marble one here. Would you like to see it? This obviously did not suit Macho at all. He starts sputtering nearly incomprehensible bits of phrases that include some snippets like, how dare you and nobody talks to me like this and so on, but mostly just sputtering like an old car with gas in the carburetor. Now at this point, beautiful wife takes a stance that is a quick reaction away from demonstrating a beautiful soccer kick to Macho's low-hanging fruit. As you can see, he is about to use something other than his words to get his point across, and she is ready to defend herself. But you can see something he in his sputtering rage cannot, and that is the police car that has just pulled up behind his niece's car. So as Macho's fist raises over his head to beat her into submission, she decides it is worth playing the poor victim and taking the hit. Instead of striking the first blow, she cowers just a little and cries, and tries not to laugh while doing it. To her amazement, the blow never lands. Officer Friendly breaks the speed of light. When he sees the fist go up, he's out of his car, over the hood, over the chain link fence, and has Macho's fist in his grip before it can take the swing at her. Very shortly thereafter, Macho is shown a new kind of bling, a set of nice silver bracelets. He is placed in the back of cruiser. Other police have now arrived. Beautiful wife is the perfect little victim. She is so afraid of him and what he could do to her and her kids. her being here home all alone while her husband is traveling for work. She believes her performance is Oscar-worthy. Doubtful. But it is good enough for the intended audience. The niece is forced to move her car off our property. Macho is not seen in the neighborhood for nearly a week. There are some apparently complicating issues that make this much worse for him, but the police are not free to disclose. We really don't care. The aftermath. For the rest of the time, he lives across the street from us. Macho never acknowledges our existence again. He also never allows any of his people to park in our driveway, in front of our mailbox, or anywhere in front of our property. We only have one more all-night music Friday night, but the first visit from the police results in the meter going off permanently. Yeah, we called the complaint in. Under his ownership, the house is not properly maintained. It eventually falls into disrepair. He sells it, I suspect, to buy another one to run down. It's the opposite of flipping homes. The next neighbors are even worse, but for other reasons. But that's a story for another day. Beautiful wife. The winner by default, Macho Rooster, didn't even qualify for the mat. Growing up in Canada, me and my friends often played road hockey. Unfortunately, at some point, his neighbor started hating us for it and would call the cops for any little thing. I never understood it. We were always respectful to his property and his family. Regardless, the cops never gave a care and would just tell him what we were doing wasn't illegal. One day, our tennis ball went under his truck, his like 1993. It was 98-ish, Yukon, which was parked on the street very far from where the hockey was being played. But someone missed a pass and the ball went gently down the street. I got on my hands and knees and used my stick to get the ball out. Boom, out comes the neighbor Pat, yelling at me and had already called the cops. Cops show up, tell us to move further down the street, then hand Pat his parking ticket. He had parked on the street on the very first day that winter parking is in effect and he was not allowed to park there anymore. So here's our 40-year-old neighbor, called the cops to give us a headache, gets handed a ticket. There's like 9 13-year-olds standing there watching, laughing their butts off. Dude was told straight up, if it's about road hockey, don't call anymore. We were at 5+ police calls that year for nothing. And that's a wrap on today's episode at K-Korner. I hope these stories left you amazed, inspired, or maybe even a little more knowledgeable about the quirky side of life. Remember, life is full of surprises, and who knows, maybe one day your story will be featured here. Stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next video.